So the first thing we're going to do is cleanse the brow area, and since our client is not wearing any brow makeup, we can go right into using an alcohol wipe, or there are antibacterial wipes that you can also use as well. We need to make sure that there is no residue. We need to get rid of excess oil, and of course we need to have that area clean and protected to make sure that we don't have any issues with bacteria and infection. The next step is going to be determining the middle point of the brow, and what we look at is the center area between the eyes. Our nose can be a little bit crooked at the end, so don't try to match it up with that. We want to look directly between the eyes, the tear duct area, and you can even pinch that skin up a little bit at the bridge of the nose to make sure that that sits in the center. This is your most important line to get symmetrical brows, and every line will be done after that. Now our next line is going to be the beginning of the brow, and we actually map this line from the indentation of the nostril up to straight up, and then lay that down. Now if somebody has an incredibly narrow nose, you could do the outside of the nose, but for most people doing that is going to leave the brows too far apart. We're then doing the arch point, and this is from the corner of that little dip in the nose again, up to the outside of the pupil. And then the third line is the actual corner of the nose up to the corner of the eye. So two of our vertical lines are off of the indentation of the nostril, and then our last one is the corner. Now we're going to move to our horizontal lines, and our first horizontal line is going to determine the bottom of the brow, and we don't want to have that too low, so always make sure that you are not including any little baby hairs that we'll actually get rid of. Our next horizontal line is going to be the width of the brow, or how thick the brow is going to be. So once you do that, you want to take a look at that and see, is that appropriate size brow, or is it too small or too large? You saw our master instructor feeling for the natural arch of the brow, and what we're doing there is determining arch to arch, and this line actually goes from one side to the other. This is the one line that we go side to side with, and this is going to show you if you have any difference in symmetry in the arch and if you have to build that up at all. Now from that point, we're going to mark our main points, point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, and then our point 6. And then the idea is to connect the dots. So we're going to go from point 1 to point 2 with our charcoal string. And it's very important that this line is straight. We don't want to have that line curved upward. We're then going from point 4 and making almost an identical line on the bottom. It's almost parallel. And then taking a wax pencil, we're going to go ahead now and begin to draw the brow. So we're drawing from point 2 to point 3, using the natural arcade of the brow to guide us. You'll find a little dip on that bone. And then again on the bottom, using the natural bone structure of our client to connect points 3 and 6. We're then going to bring that over in a nice soft arch and then down to point 4. Now remember, one of the rules in brow design is that point 3 must never be lower than point 4. It can be on the same line, or it can be even a little bit higher. But we want point 4 to be lower or the same as point 3. Once we've drawn our line, we can go in and perfect it. And when you saw us doing the measurements, the reason we only measured on the one brow is because we are going to use that caliper to duplicate the second. Now we're filling in. This is an ombre brow, so we fill in the entire outline, and our master instructor is using a brown pencil. It'll be a little less shocking to our clients than filling in with a black pencil. And she's working from the outline and then filling it in. So this would be just as if you were using a brow pencil or a powder or a dip brow to design your brow. Again, working from the lines toward the middle and back. Now the front will be adjusted depending on what the client is asking for and their natural brow growth. So the front can be designed straight, it can be round, or it can be slanted. And that's something that we will perfect once we've got the fill done. Now we're going to take one of our slant tip Q-tips and clean up the line. It's so important to have a very clean, straight line to follow. And this is also a great way to change the shape just slightly. If you need to move the brow up a little bit, you can take off just a little bit of the pencil. And it's not wet, it's just slightly damp with a bit of green soap. We don't want to remove everything, we just want to get the excess off. Notice how nice and sharp the tail is. Our tail should never be a thick tail. And then sometimes you will notice little excess hair outside of the design, and this is where we can use our personal shaver to shave anything off, or again, if it's actual brow hair, we can trim with our trimming shears and a spoolie. Now we're trimming just a little bit of the actual brow hair. We need all of our clients' brow hair to lay within our design when we're working. Also note that the fill of the brow is lighter toward the front, and that is because this is going to be an ombre brow, so the tail will be dark, moving toward a lighter shade. We want our client to see that when she approves the design. Mariana, do you want to see what we did? Okay. Now that we have designed the first brow and our client has approved it, our next step is to duplicate that brow on the other side. And so in order to do that, we're going to use our caliper and our wax pencil. We want to get the exact measurements. So if any of your lines have faded during your design of the first brow, please make sure to mark them in so that you can see them, and you will be able to measure with your caliper. Measurements will start from the middle line, all three of those. So we're measuring the front, making sure we have the exact distance. We're measuring the arch to the middle. And now arch to the end. And sometimes you'll have to rock your caliper a little bit to get that, and that's fine. Laying it down on the other side and bringing that up. So now we know that we have our marking is symmetrical, and provided we follow those points, we're going to have a brow that will match the first brow. And we're putting in 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 at the bottom, 0.5, and then 0.6. And you'll notice that our lines, our horizontal lines now come crossed at the bottom. They're going across at the height or the width of the brow. And then we do have that line that measures the arch, and that one goes from the right brow to the left brow. So our master artist now is using those points to measure across. Going to 0.5, finding 0.5, and now we're going from 0.4 to 0.5. That's the beginning of the brow, and that can be straight or slightly curved. And then we're measuring from 0.2, well, 0.1 to 0.2, getting that line in. And so you'll see we have all of our points put in, and now we'll go ahead and draw the brow and fill it in . This is such an important part of your ombre brow procedure, making sure that those brows match. By using your caliper and using your string, you can be assured that you have the right measurements. You'll also see our master artist is drawing, and then she'll take a look at the other brow, and that is very helpful when you are looking at height of the arch and matching the two brows. Again, we're taking our personal razor and shaving off any excess peach fuzz, any little baby hairs that are outside of our lines. Our clients are not going to miss those little hairs, and of course they do grow back. We can give our client their personal razor when they leave if they want to keep that up themselves. It's a nice little value-added service for them. And then we have our small shears that we can trim off any actual brow hair that stands outside of our design. It's very important to be able to see where you're working, so get rid of any excess hair or fuzz. And now we're with the brown pencil. It's a dark brown pencil, and filling in. One of the keys is that she is going from the line and then filling to the other line. So we're staying within the design that we made with our measurements and with our charcoal thread. And then the color does get just a little bit lighter as we move toward the center. This brow does have a little bit different hair growth pattern. So by using your measurements, you can be assured that the brow is the same, because it will look just a little bit different without those because of the variance in hair growth. Do you need more? Now when your pencil is dull, make sure that you do stop to sharpen it. You can even have 2 brown pencils on your tray. We need nice sharp lines. So now you can see that we have designed the second eyebrow using our caliper and using our string to match all of the points. We've colored it in as before. Our client is going to now approve the final design, and we can then take photographs of that design. You even have the ability to have the client sign off on the design on your phone, and that's something that you might consider doing.
Really good shape. Yeah, that looks great.
Okay, I'll get you garbage. Our next step is going to be to mark our design. We want to do everything we can not to lose our outline. And right now we're just using a waterproof eyeliner available at any store. You also can use a Sharpie. And it's important that you have tiny, tiny dots and that they are even. If they're wavy or off the line, one's above it, one's below it, you're going to end up with a brow that has a very uneven outline. You can see how exact our master artist is with these points. And because this is a waterproof eyeliner, it will have a little bit of a stain quality to it. It'll allow you to at least get your first outline done so you don't lose your shape when you're working. We don't recommend surgical markers. The gentian violet does tend to stain the skin, and it also can really spread out. As well, surgical markers do need to be disposed of. They're single use, where there is enough alcohol in these liners and in Sharpies that you can actually use them on someone, and then they will kill any bacteria. Again, notice how tiny the dots are. And also notice how she is pulling the skin tight, not pulling it up, but stretching it side to side so that it doesn't distort the design when she's marking. We'll let that dry, and then our next step will be to go ahead and apply our anesthetic. Please be sure if you did mark outside the line or if you see anything that moved that you clean that up. Just using a Q-tip and a small amount of green soap. Now we can apply our primary anesthetic. Primary anesthetics, again, are typically in a cream or a kind of a Vaseline type consistency. We're spreading that over the entire design, but you can see that she's not moving it around, she's just spreading it out. You can also roll it on. But we don't want to destroy that design. Also, notice that our master instructor is pushing that under the hair. If they have a dense hair growth, you need to get that topical onto the skin in order for it to work. We're only doing one brow to begin with because we don't want to have the brow we begin working on, having the second brow be number than the first. We need to have them numbed about the same amount. And this is because of the way that anesthetic affects the pigment and affects the skin. So the skin does tend to get a little bit rubbery when we are numbing it. And so we need the effect to be the same on both sides. Now that the anesthetic has had the opportunity to work for 15 minutes on the first brow, we are going to apply it to the second brow, and then we'll go back and remove it from the original brow and begin to work. So it's the same procedure, applying it in the direction of the design so that we're not moving around the line. We need to have a nice, even application. It doesn't have to be super thick, but you have to put enough on that it can reach the skin. And then in those areas where you have a thicker hair growth, you do need to use your Q-tip to get under that hair and push it onto the skin. Now we're going back to the brow that has been numbing for 15 minutes. Always follow your manufacturer's guidelines. We're taking a microfiber swab and the handle of it and just smoothing off any excess residue from the pigment, or pardon me, from the anesthetic without moving around our design. And then taking a tissue and pressing it down and lifting it straight up and continuing to do that until we see no anesthetic coming through on the tissue. This way you preserve the design. Now if it does lift anything off, make sure to put that back on before you start working. But doing it this way should really minimize any lifting of your pencil or your design. Remember, we've marked with waterproof eyeliner, so that usually stays pretty well.